Hello and welcome to the Gold Club podcast. I'm your host, Edwin Delgado, and we are recording this just a week away from the start of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. And to talk about the World Cup and the US and many other things surrounding the tournament, we have Rachael Kriger from the Equalizer. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for the Women's World Cup. Thanks for the invite. This is awesome. Been busy doing lots of preview podcasts, so it's fun to talk about this big tournament and the biggest it's ever been with 32 teams. So it's gonna be so much fun. I'm looking forward to it. Not looking forward to waking up at midnight and like 3 a.m. for some games, but like yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, some of the times they're going to be rough to watch. But anyway, so the US is coming on as the two-time defending world champion. What can we expect from this team? Because it's very different from, I mean, you had the same generation that's been since 2011. You had just a couple of players left with Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, and Julie Ertz. What can we expect from this team?
Yeah, this is a young team and young but like also still experienced. A lot of these players played in the 2020 Olympics, but was played in the 2021 calendar year because of the COVID pandemic, obviously. But there's a lot of youth in the squad, but there's also like a lot of experience. It's crazy to think that Lindsay Horan is only like 29 years old and she has like over 120 caps for the national team. But yeah, Alex Morgan and Lindsay Horan leading the way. They're named co-captains for this team. I think, defense is definitely like for me the biggest question mark for this team going into the tournament. They have just had oh my gosh, their backlog of injuries has just been like catastrophic to them. At least, up front with Mallory Swanson injured, you can replace her with the likes of Trinity Rodman or a Alyssa Thompson, as we're seeing the 18-year-old kind of blow up in the league. But the defense has just been like smacked around with injuries with Becky Sauerbrunn, Abby Dahlkemper, Tierna Davidson, to name a few. Casey Kruger came back from maternity leave, and she just is playing on a struggling Chicago Red Stars team that I think because of that, she didn't really get the benefit of the doubt. But really, there's only two natural center backs on this team with Naomi Girma and Alana Cook. And I don't know. It's just, you hear all these stories, Edwin, about depth and depth and depth. And, that's true right now in the midfield. I think it's true for the goalkeeper situation. And it's true up top in the attack. But the defense is kind of, dwindling here. And I'm intrigued to see how they do, with teams like Vietnam and Portugal and, the Netherlands in their group. It seems easy, but these teams aren't really any to sleep on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Vietnam either tied or lost by one to Germany in one of the warm-up games. So, what are some of the players that you're most exciting to see starting next week?
On the US squad?
Yeah, for the US.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, Crystal Dunn. I never had a doubt that Crystal Dunn was good. She's obviously amazing. But when they did move her to that defensive position in 2019, I had my doubts. I'm also just a firm believer. Like, I'm a big men's national team fan, right? And she, to me, is the female Fabian Johnson, where plays in the midfield, kind of like can play everywhere, a Swiss Army knife, if you will. And it's definitely like her least preferred position to be at left back. And that was the same way with Fabian Johnson too, but they're both excelling and they both excelled in that role at one point or another. And yeah, she definitely shut me up in 2019 about having any sort of doubt about her ability to defend, but also get up on the attack. So I'm looking forward to a good World Cup from her. I'm excited to see. I hope Savannah DeMello gets some time on the pitch because of just what she's done for Racing Louisville this year. She has easily been, but by far the best player in the entire NWSL this season. And so for her to get her call up, she just got capped against Wales in the warm up game. So to see her get her call up is really exciting. Although she's definitely a player that A would either, would come off the bench or be in kind of a rotation, maybe against Vietnam or Portugal, starting one of those games. Um, Alyssa Thompson and Lynn Williams up top are definitely players that I'm excited to see. No knock on Alyssa Thompson whatsoever, but I would have preferred to see Ashley Hatch on the roster. She's just been on fire for Washington Spirit this year and really has been for the last couple of years. She's always a consistent player. And I mean, Alyssa Thompson has time, but I understand the pick. I totally get it. And then Lynn Williams, she had a really, really rough 2022 being out injured for the whole year. Didn't even wear a Kansas City Current shirt once. And then she got traded to Gotham and has basically been lighting the league on fire, just scoring and really resurging that team. And then obviously Trinity Rodman is another player to look at. She had 2 goals against Wales in the send-off game. So it's definitely a confidence booster for her. She hasn't always been able to find the back of the net in a US shirt. So for her to get those goals, I'm sure is definitely a big confidence boost going into the World Cup.
One of the biggest developments in the recent days is Megan Rapinoe's announcement to retire from the US after the World Cup and from soccer itself after the NWSL season is done. What do you make of her decision, and do you think it's going to have any impact on the team during the World Cup?
I think Megan Rapinoe's decision, and I say this obviously super respectfully, she's a great player, is 2 years too late. I think it could have happened 2 years ago and I wouldn't have been surprised. I thought it was going to happen at the end of last year, but I understand wanting to go for another World Cup. And Vlatko Andonovski has said multiple times now and again that I depend on Megan Rapinoe to bring leadership, and then B, to come in as a super sub and score in those tight moments. She has a big veteran presence for this team, so having her on the roster is a big deal. If they play against Netherlands and they're 1-1 or 0-0 going into the 60th 65th minute, they're going to bring Rapinoe on and she's going to do everything she can to score, right? So I'm not shocked by her decision at all. I think it's exciting for her. I think her what's the word I'm looking for? Her legacy is going to live on forever and ever, both on and off the pitch. And just the culture that I think she helped created for the national team, one where she and a lot of others, of course, but she was pretty much the focal point of the equal pay. Her, Crystal Dunn, Alex Morgan, Becky Sauerbrunn were pretty much that focal point in the faces that you saw doing the public speaking and whatnot. She has definitely sent a ripple effect that is not going to go away on the national team. I feel like she'll stay in soccer in one way or another. Her I don't know if they're married, but her partner, Sue Bird, is an owner for Gotham FC. But I mean, Rapinoe's hard as Seattle, right? So I could see her, having some ownership with Reign FC, OL Reign. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it deters anything. I don't think the announcement deters anything. Marta made a similar announcement with Brazil, and I think that's going to fire up those squads to go get it for those players for the last time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the World Cup, if the US is to be a 3 consecutive world champion, who are the key players that need to step up from the US for that to happen?
Yeah, I think in the midfield, I can't say too much about Julie Ertz because we haven't seen her. And I'm a big skeptic of her right now. I prefer consistency. And to me, club form matters. And Vlatko Andonovski said it mattered, but there are a couple selections on the roster that make me think he's not 100% following his words. But Julie Ertz, if they do stick her in the midfield and kind of have her dictate that number 6 spot, I think she's really not just going to need to lead the midfield, but she's got 2 young center backs behind her in Germa and in Cook, who this is their first World Cup. And she played in that center back position in 2015. So you could obviously slot her back there as well. Rose Lavelle has kind of been, the joke around the women's soccer community has been Rose Lavelle has basically been put in a freezer with all of the meat so it doesn't go bad or doesn't get broken. She's made of breadsticks. Everyone pretty much knows that. Injuries are very common. And so there was just actually a picture I think US Soccer put out yesterday or today of her dribbling the ball, and everyone was like, she's alive. Because whether it was USSF or, her decision or the rain or whatever it was. She hasn't played for the rain in 2 months. So that worries me from a consistency and club performance standpoint. But I also understand it because, again, made of breadsticks and gets injured more than she plays. So if as long as she can stay healthy, they're going to need a really, really big tournament from her. And I know after seeing that picture, members of the Dutch national team are probably like, yikes, because of what she did to them in 2019. And then I think Alex Morgan too, up front, she needs to have a good tournament as well. I'm not saying she has to score all the goals, but she needs to be a threat above. Like it can't just be the Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman show, because then there's going to be double bodies on them, which leads to Alex Morgan being open. So if you're open, you got to score goals. So that's a really scary attacking front three, and all three need to be on for it to work. And then honestly, Alyssa Nair, because I haven't been impressed with her at all this season with Chicago. I get it. It's a team effort, and it is definitely team performances or lack of that is why Chicago is so low on the table. But there's been a few goals that have been allowed from Nair that have just been bad goalkeeping. And so for her to get the nod is not surprising in regard to, she has the experience. But I mean, I'd rather put in Casey Murphy or Aubrey Kingsbury. So I think she's on a short leash with Vlatko Andonovski. So she needs to have some good performances in order to keep that spot.
Yeah, I mean, she was a key figure in the semifinal against England 4 years ago to reach the final. But we'll see. I mean, things change every 4 years. The next pick we should have, I mean, among the field, I mean, it's no surprise that the US is still the big favorite to win. But among the field, I mean, who are the top 2 or 3 threats that you think are the most dangerous teams for the US?
Yeah, I think that if my bracket, if you know me, I love a good upset. Like March Madness is one of my favorite times of the year because I just love making upset picks. So if my bracket shapes out the way that I think it will, I have the US, I think, playing Spain in the semifinals, and honestly, Spain is my choice to win it all. I think España is just too tough right now. There was some news this morning about Alexia Putellas kind of training on the side just because she has a precautionary whatever it is. They're being very discreet about whatever it is that's going on there, but I think they're going to do what the US has done to Rose Lavelle and kind of put her in a freezer and say, don't touch anything, don't move, and here's a bunch of bubble wrap so you don't get hurt. But España is definitely my pick. They're just so loaded. And then honestly, I wouldn't be mad if Brazil got the win. I would love to see them get the win for Marta. They're just such a young, talented squad, and that midfield is so intriguing and just so many great pieces that can start. So I feel bad for Pia Sundhage for having to pick a starting 11 out of that group. And then honestly, a team that I think that could come in and really surprise a lot of people is Morocco. I just did a story with Lauren Gregg from the Nigerian women's national team, the ousted coach, assistant coach there. And, I'm close with Randy Waldrum being from Pittsburgh and how he coaches at Pitt. And both of them have praised Morocco for their facilities and said that is why the men's team did what they did in Qatar last year and why the women's team qualified for the first time this past year. They're investing in both the men's and women's team, and it's definitely paying off. They made some noise at women's AFCON last year, and I would love to see them have a nice, decent run in the tournament.
Alrighty, what about what are your thoughts on how dangerous could teams like England and Germany be for the US?
I think England is a really tough case because they have so many injuries right now. Them in the Netherlands. I mean, when you're looking at teams without who's missing for them, I think Beth Mead is going to be missing for England. And then not Chloe Kelly, but there was somebody else I just saw who is
Frank Kirby is another one.
Fran Kirby. I think Bethany England, I think, is out too. I'm not sure about that one. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, there's just so many injuries on the English squad. And, if they were fully healthy, yeah, I could see them making a nice deep run. But I don't know. There's just too many injuries to count right now for the Lionesses after their incredible Euro win last year. And then Germany turned a lot of heads for not a lot of good reason when they only won 2-1 against Vietnam the other day. So, it's great for the little guys, Vietnam and teams like that. And Zambia recently beat. Who did Zambia beat? Zambia recently.
Germany.
Oh,
2-2.
they did beat Germany. Yeah. So, I mean, that's two close calls against the little guys, right? Well, one close call and one win, right? So, lots of heads being scratched in Germany. You can't just rely on Alexandra Pop the entire time. So yeah, I don't see them being a super, super big threat. I think France is more of a threat to the United States than anybody else. And then of course Spain, and then the just giant on the US back is Sweden. It always has been. So there's a very good chance that those two teams could match up as well. So there's and it's exciting to talk about, right? Because a couple years ago, I don't think we would have been saying this. Maybe just one or two teams that are, going for the US's number. But now there's like a bunch of teams that are really vying for this and for this title. And the little guys have shown that they can hang with the big kids, So it's going to be exciting, and I'm just looking forward to a really, really competitive tournament. But I don't know. I don't think UEFA is going to have the tournament that they think they're going to have. They're going to be riding on Spain's coattails, I think.
Alrighty. So let's we were talking about injuries, and I have a list that I pulled up last night. So just some of the bigger cases: Janine Becky for Canada, Delphine Cascarino from France, Amandine Henry recently just got injured and is out of the World Cup. Maria Antonique Katoto from France, Frank Kirby of England, which we mentioned, Katarina Macario from the US, Beth Mead, Sam Mewes of the US, Vivian Miedema for the Netherlands, Becky Sauerbrunn also for the US, along with Mallory Swanson, Leah Williamson from England. So it's one of those things that it's almost every month we'll be hearing about one big player getting hurt. What do you think is going to be the impact of all those injuries? And is that part of the reason that you believe that European teams might not have as great as a World Cup as they may hope so?
Yeah, I think, probably 85% of the people you just listed are UEFA players. And probably out of the 85%, 80 are like English players. So, and it's crazy, right? Because like Germany has pretty much a full squad and they lost to Zambia and basically skirted out a result, somewhat of a result against Vietnam. Yeah, I just think that, the injuries obviously stinks. Leah Williamson was the one that I was thinking about with the torn ACL. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. This is like definitely going to be the most competitive World Cup, and it's unfortunate that all these super talented players are out. My heart breaks for Becky Sauerbrunn for being just the anchor on the U.S. defense and such a leader for this team, and missing what very well could possibly be her last World Cup, because she's 38 years old. She's not getting any younger. And then I'm pretty gutted for Zambia's starting goalkeeper, Hazel Nali, for she tore her ACL. I think she did it against the Germany game, but it was definitely in the warm-ups or the practice. But that's definitely a big loss for Zambia. Like, your goalkeeper is your leader on your team. They're the one who sees the whole field. So it's just unfortunate. But yeah, all these UEFA injuries are just super unfortunate, and I hope it doesn't take too much away from the tournament. On the flip side, you get a lot of exciting players back. I mean, Ada Hegerberg is coming back for Norway. Marta had some ACL injuries a couple years ago, so she's fully healthy and ready to just make history further by scoring in a 6th consecutive World Cup. There's just a lot of exciting returns, but yeah, the injury bug has not been good.
Yeah, Alexia Putellas was a little surprising for some people that she made the roster and that she potentially might play for Spain. One of the other things I want to talk to you about is some of the off-the-field concerns among several teams. We talked about Spain. They have a big concerns with their coach. Several, I believe it's like a dozen players said that they're not going to play for for the Spanish team until he was out, and he's still there. So they're gonna be missing some of that talent. They're still loaded, but it's gonna be intriguing. You recently wrote about the issues plaguing the Nigerian national women's national team, and South Africa was going through some of the same issues. So, what are some of the big off the field issues to keep in mind as we're watching the tournament?
Well, I think, from a broad sense of things, like it stinks that it is taking away from the gameplay, but at the same time, it's good that it's taking away from the gameplay because I mean, what better time for players to fight for equality and equal pay and just pay in general in terms of Nigeria's situation than on the world's biggest stage when everybody's going to be watching. So yeah, just unfortunate stuff going on. Obviously, a little bit more in tune to the Nigerian stuff than everything else because of talking to Lauren Gregg and knowing Randy Waldrum and talking to them. Their players haven't been paid in over 2 years. They've got a little bit of money from the federation, but not like their pay. And FIFA gave $30,000, I think, to every player for the World Cup as like a bonus. And so the Nigerian Federation said, if you're getting your bonuses from FIFA, why do you need to be getting them from us too? And FIFA has explicitly said this is not to replace the bonuses you guys should be giving for your team. So yeah, just it's super unfortunate. The coaching situation there is, completely messed up how they're making Randy choose between a player and his assistant coach. That's never happened before. And it's quite, it's honestly kind of disgusting from the NFF to be doing this just to say, look at us, we have power. Yeah, the Spanish stuff has been a highlight for a bunch of years. That's why I really want Spain to go in and win so they can shove it down their federation's face and say, haha, look at us, do what we tell you, because clearly we're good enough. Canada is basically bankrupt. The issues involving South Africa, yeah, the pay disputes. And then I know with the Philippines, and there was another country too, I think Japan, there's international broadcasting issues. Philippines team put out a statement saying like, hey, it's a couple days till the World Cup and we still don't have something in place. So yeah, it's an unfortunate situation all around for all of these teams fighting with their federations. And that's why, a team like the United States, like it's great that they achieved equal pay. They're showing, in Brazil too, they're showing that it is possible. It's going to take a lot of work and it's going to take, a lot of effort, but it will happen. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And so the players are just fighting the good fight right now. And hopefully federation and federation people can, quit sitting on their hands and actually get stuff done.
Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been quite unfortunate. I mean, from what I was reading, the case specifically with South Africa, it was to get so bad that the players didn't want to play a friendly game against Botswana. So it's really unfortunate that a lot of this stuff is happening as we're approaching the World Cup. But hopefully, things get a little better. Now that we talked about some of the teams that could be a threat for the U.S., I mean, just overall from the field, I mean, what are some of the players outside the U.S. that you're excited to watch?
Yeah, I'm like really excited. I'm a big Costa Rican women's national team fan, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding that roster, basically getting rid of all your veterans for young players. But Raquel Rodriguez is being kind of thrust into the spotlight to really lead this team right now because there really is no leadership. So I'm intrigued to see how she handles that. She's just coming back from an injury as well. I'm really excited just to watch like Barbara Bana, the from Zambia. I am a CONCACAF person through and through though. Like I am watching all of these little guys from CONCACAF. I love Marta Cox. I cover Liga MX Femenil, so I have the opportunity to watch her quite a bit. I'm excited for Haiti. Haiti is such a fun, energetic, exciting team. Another team that is really playing not just for equality in their federation, but for just some hope for the country. There's so much turmoil, political division, fighting, unrest, all kinds of stuff in Haiti. And so they're just like I give Haiti a lot of credit just playing to kind of unite the country for, this tournament and then hopefully beyond. But there's some really exciting players on that team. Melchi Dumouriez, who is the person that scored all their goals. Roselord Borgella, she had like 20 goals in like World Cup, the qualification tournament to get to the World Cup qualifying tournament. So yeah, Haiti's awesome. They're super exciting. And yeah, I'm gonna like toot the horn of CONCACAF because they had two teams go to the playoffs. And there's 11 teams that fight for 3 spots, and 2 CONCACAF teams got 2 of the 3 spots. So I'm excited for Panama. I'm excited for Costa Rica, Jamaica, and Haiti to do something fun in this tournament. I honestly predict, and this is my big, bold pick of the tournament, that Haiti is going to go to the quarterfinals, and they're going to and along the way, they're going to upset Australia if that's how, if the bracket works out like mine is. Again, I love a big upset. I can't help it. But then, it's exciting to see a player like Ada Hegerberg come back. Like, she's not new at all. Everybody knows what she can do, but to see her come back on the world stage is going to be really fun. And then I'm excited too for Canada. I love Jordan Huitema. I think she's a really great goal scorer. Love that she's playing in OL Reign. And with Sinclair on kind of her last legs, I'm excited to see Jordan Huitema and her kind of fill in, take some of that goal scoring pressure off. And then Estefania Benini from Argentina, she was on the national team. She spoke out, spoke for equal pay, equal treatment, was kind of kicked off the team. And then when a new coach was brought in, she was able to come back on. So she's a great player. She's played in Europe for, a good majority of her career, had some time in Washington. So it'll be fun to watch Argentina play for sure, especially coming off the coattails of the men winning the World Cup last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm also like really interested in, for example, Spain, what they're gonna do. Sweden, I think they have a really loaded front four, with Aslani, Jakobsen, Rolfo, and Blackstenius. And also, like, I've been watching some of the warm-up games for Zambia, and I think that front three that they have could is gonna be. It's not only Barbara Banda, but Chanda, and I forgot the name of the other girl. Those three can be a threat to any team. Barbara Banda has something that's different that you can see fairly quickly. So I'm excited to see that. I mean, they score a lot of goals, they allow a lot of goals, so we'll see how that plays in the tournament. Haiti, as you mentioned, has a couple good players. That's going to be interesting. And then Jamaica and Panama from CONCACAF are going to play each other in the group stage. So at least someone has to get something out of that one.
Listen, that's the match I'm most excited for because it's just going to be pure CONCACAF chaos, and everyone in the region is going to be like, yes, I don't care what happens, yes.
And for the people listening, can you just give us a little perspective on the role that you're going to have for the coverage for the Equalizer during the World Cup?
Yeah, so obviously the game times aren't super friendly to a lot of us. We do have some West Coast writers, which is nice. And then Jeff Kassouf is going to the World Cup. Harjeet Johal is going to the World Cup to give us the Canadian coverage. I think that's all for our team. That is actually going to be boots on the ground going there. It's a tough trip to make, obviously, and women's soccer reporters, there's not a lot of full-time folks. I'm a communications director and a youth minister for my day job, so like there's just no way for me to fly out there. But my job is pretty much USA and Canada are covered, but I'm pretty much pay attention to the CONCACAF teams, the little guys. I just wrote a preview about what the CONCACAF teams of, like you said, Jamaica, Panama, Haiti, Costa Rica, what their outlook is for the World Cup and, predictions for that. But yeah, pretty much pay attention to the little guy teams. But yeah, we have a big group dedicated to covering the World Cup. So, if people want to watch the games in an ungodly hour, they can, but if they don't, then they have our coverage. And on top of that, just analysis of games and whatnot.
And now looking ahead of the past 2023 and into 2027, there are 4 bids to host that tournament. One, the joint bid in Europe with Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany. now with South Africa, Brazil, and obviously the one that we're interested most in, US and Mexico joint bid. So what do you make of that bid? Because obviously the US group made this bid on their own. So what do you make about the bid and their chances against the other competing bids?
Well, I understand first and foremost why they didn't put Canada on there since they just hosted in 2015. But with the big boom that Liga MX Femenil is seeing with just viewership and competition and league play and whatnot, it's exciting. I want to see that bid happen. I wouldn't be mad about the other ones because I've always wanted to go to Brazil. I've always wanted to go to Europe. So, but yeah, it makes sense. And how cool would that be to have, back-to-back men and women's World Cups? That would be awesome. And my bank account will be empty.
All right. And just to wrap things up, so you were talking about Liga MX and the growth of CONCACAF and potentially US and Mexico hosting. One of the things that did not make, even though there's 6 teams from CONCACAF that made the World Cup, one that did not made it was Mexico. So can you, I mean, I'm a dual national, so I live more here in El Paso and south of the border in Juarez. So I was puzzled by such a bad performance in the women's championship last year. How can we explain? I mean, having one of the leagues with the most growth, and then all of a sudden getting to this tournament and not being able to score once in 3 games.
Yeah, I think, I hate to say this and be that person because I really don't like to be it, but I think it does come down to the coaching. I think, Monica Vergara, I don't know what the game plan was. It just didn't work out. But then, Mexico women, they have a new coach now and they've been winning and winning and winning. They had the Revelations Cup in Mexico as a kind of tune up. They played 3 World Cup teams, Nigeria, Colombia, and Costa Rica. And they won the tournament. So, I mean, it wasn't convincing. There were a lot of draws, just to get that out of the way. But they won the tournament over 3 teams going to the World Cup. They've been winning games. They recently just had some competition where they won. I think it was the Pan Am Games. I could be wrong about that.
The Central American Games. The one that
the Central American Games. Yeah, that's correct. They just won the Central American Games. I mean, like, there is clearly talent on this team. There is no question about that. There is talent. And I think it's fair to say that for the Central American Games, Costa Rica sent their B team because they're going to the World Cup. Jamaica sent their B team, et cetera, et cetera. But still, Mexico before that was winning games. So I think it's just a coaching thing, and I'm glad they have a new coach, and I'm glad it's working out. But yeah, I got to wait another 4 years to see if Mexico women make a World Cup, and that team's going to look very, very, very different in 4 years for sure.
Yeah, I'm absolutely hoping that's the case. And just to finish up things here, I mean, if people want to read some of the previews that you wrote in recent days, where can they find the stuff and where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. My Twitter's at Rachael Kriger. My name is spelled Rachael. I always have to spell it out because nobody spells it right. But yeah, I usually tweet on my article. I'm on Threads by the same name, which is so weird to say. I keep forgetting Threads is a thing. And then Equalizer Soccer. I do a podcast at Last Word on Soccer, and over at Pittsburgh Soccer Now, we're obviously going to be paying attention to Nigeria because of our ties and our city ties with Coach Randy Waldrum. So lots of good stuff coming up and definitely staying busy.
Alrighty, Rachael Kriger here, the Gold Club Podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it, and let's hope for a great World Cup.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.